It's springtime in the north, arguably the best time for being in the mountains of the Scottish Highlands, with often stable weather and no nasty biting things. The mountains of Torridon make an excellent destination at any time, and I've come to one of the three big ones in this area for a spectacular springtime ridge traverse and clifftop summit camp to make the most of this fine time of year. I'm Feargus, and this is the middle of nowhere. It's spring. I love this time of year. We have now passed the spring equinox, so the days are finally longer than the nights. The darkness has subsided. 6 months of joy and light are upon us. I've come to Torridon and I am at the foot of a mountain which I haven't been on before. The third of the big Torridon mountains in my head, because I've done the two other really big ones, Munro's. This is Beinn Alligin, and this in my mind is the best time of year now for the next month or so for hiking in the Highlands, because you tend to get quite a bit of settled weather like this, and it's absolutely glorious. There's very little wind, and you also tend to not have the midges for about another month or so. So I'm really going to try and make the most of it, as I do every spring. There's a little bit of snow still up on the ridge up there, although I don't think it's going to be a problem. I brought my crampons and ice axe in the car just in case, but when I saw the peaks as I was driving around here, it just doesn't look like there's going to be anything serious to worry about. So the plan is to go up onto the ridge and try and do a summit camp on the highest point on the Beinn Alligin ridge. Hopefully, I don't know if there's a particularly flat spot there. I know there are good camping spots on the ridge in places, because I've seen other people do it on YouTube and on Instagram. But I'm going to go for the highest point, and if that doesn't work, then somewhere nearby. So let's get our boots on. Well, I have my boots on obviously, and get climbing. A couple of hours to the ridge. Well, the first, oh wow, the first of Beinn Alligin's 2 Munro tops. Oh wow, look at that. Oh, that's a view. Wow. Oh, there's the trig point. Oh, spectacular. I said a couple of hours. I'm always over optimistic with me. Not very fit after the winter, and I've been ill several times, so plus I spend a lot of time stopping to video stuff on the way. But I got here eventually after about 3.5 hours. If I was a day walker with a small bag and I wasn't filming, then yeah, sure, 2 hours. Oh, stunning. Absolutely incredible. Ridge looks cool. And then over there are the Horns of Alligin, which is, I believe, the most picturesque part of the mountain. And I will be heading in that direction. Got to think about where I'm going to camp. You can see the sky cooling over there. Really clear in silhouette. And the other mountains of Torridon, the other two big ones, Liagach over there and Beinn behind it. And further into the wilderness, behind the Horns of Alligin, is Beinn Alligin, which is not above 3,000 feet, 914 meters I think it is, but it looks like a pretty cool one as well. I want to go up there at some point. Actually, maybe it is a Munro. I don't know. There's lots of good camping pitches around here, especially over there, although it does look a bit rocky. But I'm quite sure that there are options down there as well, and there's even a spot below this point on the ridge which has a couple of ponds, so fresh water that doesn't have to be melted. Oh, beautiful. Okay, after a bit of deliberating with myself, I've decided that I'm just going to camp down here. It looks like an excellent pitch, and there's enough snow here for when I need water to melt with my stove. And actually, I think that looking across in that direction there in the morning is going to make for some really nice photos. Don't think it's going to be the best place at all for evening photos, so I might actually wander further along the ridge once I've set up camp and had a little rest for the sunset. But yeah, I think this looks like an awesome spot to camp, really airy. Right, now the sun is low enough, light is starting to get really good for photography, so I've got to do two things this evening. One of them is to see if I can get some nice shots with the evening light, and the other one is to scope out the best spots for the morning so I can make the most of the sunrise conditions and the position of the sun for my pictures then. What an amazing place. What a great pitch. Fairly airy scramble. Frogs are breeding in this pond. There's some over there, and then there's a male right here, which is desperately trying to hold on to a female which is dead. Maybe it's the cold water. But you know, they're so desperate to spread their seed that they will just hold on with a death grip and won't let go, hoping that they will be able to fertilize the eggs, not realizing that their partner is dead. Crazy. It is very cold in the water. There's ice just over there. Well, the light is beautiful now, and I went to start taking pictures a couple of minutes ago, and then noticed that it came up with saying that there's no card in the camera. I have never forgotten to put the card back in after I copied the files off from the previous trip before. Never. Since I've been shooting digital photography since 2007, and this has never happened before. God, it's frustrating. And of course, all of the smaller electronic devices like the GoPro, which I'm now filming on, takes micro SD, but these older cameras take standard SD, and I don't have any with me, or any CF cards, which I would normally have in. So I will do my best to enjoy the scenery as is. But I am frustrated because this is that's the real icing on the cake for these trips, that I get these pictures, that I actually get the conditions, which isn't a given, and then that I get the pictures. It's cold now with the sun gone down. Had to do a bit of reframing in my head after realizing that I had forgotten to replace the memory card in my camera after the last time I used it. Because the first instinct is to jump to the statement telling myself in my head that I'm a stupid moron and that I should know better and all of this stuff. And that's not very helpful. It's really not very helpful for anybody to do that to themselves. But so many of us do. Pretty much every photographer has their story of when, back in the olden days when I started, they did a whole shoot and then found out that there was no film in their camera. And more recently, of course, since digital has become the norm, forgetting to bring any storage medium. And it's never happened to me. I've been shooting photographs on a serious basis for almost 30 years. And this is the first time it's happened. So it's okay. It's okay to make the mistake. And one of the silver linings of an experience like that is that actually I can put the camera down and do things like watch the sunset, which is something that I rarely actually do because I'm always so concentrating on trying to use the light and get the photographs that I don't actually stop and look at any of the view properly until the sun is long gone. So that's nice. And the other silver lining is that I don't have to get up for the sunrise. And I hate getting up really early. I am quite a lazy person by nature, believe it or not. So I can enjoy my morning and take it easy in this lovely place before traversing the rest of the ridge tomorrow, which I'm sure is going to be beautiful. It's supposed to be another really nice day. So, see. Right, I'm on my way now along the ridge, but I just wanted to stop briefly to say thanks for watching my video and other videos if you have done. But if this is your first video of mine that you're watching, have a think about having a look at some of my earlier videos. There are more than 50 up there now, many of which are of big Scottish mountain hikes with summit camps and all kinds of stuff like that, just like this. You could even click on the playlist. I've put the specific playlist for Scotland's mountains up in the description immediately below this video. I'm passionate about making these journeys and I love making these videos, but it's your watching that makes it all worthwhile. If you're not a subscriber already, please hit the subscribe button. If you know anybody who might be interested in this sort of content, there's a share button below the video as well, which would be awesome if you could share it with any like-minded people so that I could help the channel to grow. And if you fancy, leave some comments at the bottom of the video once you're finished watching. And lastly, for my sales pitch, I am passionate about making these journeys and I love making these videos. I really want to be able to keep doing it in perpetuity, so making the whole thing financially sustainable would make that much more likely. So if you're a regular viewer and you can afford it, consider making a small donation via the Patreon link in the description below the video. There won't be any exclusive content for those who do contribute, but it would be much appreciated. I've switched to Patreon from Buy Me a Coffee because that allows regular monthly payments to go out. I make about 2 or 3 videos a month, so if I got the price of a cup of coffee just once a month, then you would get 2 or 3 of these types of videos for your investment. Much appreciated. Now I'm going to keep going. An impressive and terrifying cleft in the mountain. If you could get to it, you could probably do a good base jump down there. Scarmore, big peak or big point, highest point on the Beinn Alligin ridge. I've made it, and down there is arguably the piece of resistance, the horns of Alligin. So I got a steep descent now to get down to those and check them out. the lowest of the 3 horns of Alligin. I bypassed the first 2 because I couldn't be bothered going up the steep hill again with all of my gear. But this one affords an amazing perspective, and it's such a photogenic piece of geology. I love the way the mountains here, which are made of Torridon sandstone, hence that's where the stone gets its name, because the region is Torridon. I love the way that they break off into these kind of step-shaped things. So you get cliff and then a slightly flatter bit, and then a cliff and then a flatter bit. It's very picturesque. Another thing I love here, looking down below the mountain to the northwest, is that there's kind of a plateau area which is full of little lochs and lochans, and some of those I have earmarked to hopefully go and have a snorkel in this summer. Anybody who hasn't been watching my videos for that long might not have seen my freshwater snorkeling videos. That is going to be a big theme. I'm going to do a big series of videos on freshwater snorkeling, primarily in lochs, but also in rivers throughout the summer when the water gets a bit warmer. Right now it's just a bit too chilly. Anyhow, I am under time pressure because my other half has plans and I have to go on child duty, so I am going to dash back down in the next hour and a half and stop filming. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I said earlier, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, share the channel with like-minded individuals, and leave any comments if you'd like. So I better get going. In the meantime, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Be safe.